seriously, yeah.
Did you see the video of the panda either in Washington or New York? Did you see that?
Sliding down the hill and then go back up and then slide down again. That was so good. I loved it. I cracked up. My dog, she does
So
the same thing.
this, hi, yeah, this person at Quail Run this morning went, God, it was just like they were thinking. It's like, oh,
That's the first
you
time they've thought that in their life.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the lunacy and the arrogance and the hubris of our kind. Are we rolling here, Bob? Because
Yes,
this
we're
is
going.
important.
We're going.
This is important.
Uh,
Yes, really, we are under the terrible illusion, right, that just because, all the other species do not read newspapers, that they're all stupid, right?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And that they're working off instinct. That is absolutely not the case. There is a difference between our species and other species. And that difference appears to be that we can contemplate ourselves in eternity. We have that capacity. And it seems like the other species do not have that. But they do have, you know this from the dogs and the cats around you. They have absolute personalities. Each of them are distinct,
Seriously,
right?
yeah.
They
Yeah.
have intelligence. It's just not human intelligence. Yeah?
Yeah,
You know,
we've talked about this many times, but an animal would probably laugh at a person for reading a newspaper. They'd be like, "What utility does that serve me in my
well,
dog world or my cat
what
world?"
exactly is the point of that? And again, if we take a domesticated dog or cat, right, and we get put out in the wilds with the domesticated dog and cat,
Yeah.
they will be able to survive and we will starve to death,
and
right?
and and we have this great ability to understand that our own mortality and that we're going to go. And what do we do with it? We just drive ourselves
Now,
endlessly
by the way,
crazy,
all the other species have that understanding too, because when they are in a position of being threatened, they
Uh,
will run away.
yeah,
You
fight
see?
or flight. But more than fight or flight, it's a conscious. Oh wait, I can die if I sit right
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me
I need to
move
get the
on.
hell out of here. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right? Oh,
yeah,
again. Yeah. So even that, all species have that. Shrimp will try to get away from a fish who is trying to eat it.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Right.
remember at a younger age working with you. I was looking at ants and put my finger down and watching them run away, and just thinking to myself like, that to me, um, I don't know what the word is, but that is shows some form of consciousness because it is understanding
Self-awareness.
that
Yes.
it
Yeah.
has, yeah, that self-awareness, yeah, that it has a life and that it does not want to end it by going towards something that will clearly kill it. It moves away, and so clearly it is self-preservation. And I think it's more than just an instinct. I think it is that creature contemplating what is going on, and
It
then
is more than an instinct. For
yeah,
God's sake, God, the arrogance of our species is just, and this does come out of the Torah, where again, the birds on wing and the animals of the fields are all here for our use. And
yeah,
again, therefore, if we acknowledge that they also have sentience, right, and we are misusing them so horribly, we might be guilty. But, this is the same as, back in the day where white slave owners would say of the slaves, they don't feel the same way we do. Therefore, it was okay to like whip them and separate their families,
yeah,
and say
yeah.
with the Native Americans. And by the way, the same with the English, with the Irish. Thank you very much.
and
Yes.
and and even in some cases poor with the rich and the poor people.
Oh yes,
You
oh
have to
yes,
like,
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So again, these convenient hierarchies.
yeah,
We've talked about the endless hierarchies in humankind that are finally utterly artificial,
yeah, they
right?
mean nothing. Yeah.
All they, it's like that woman saying to a friend of hers here in Santa Fe, New Mexico,
Hmm.
right? That, she just returned from Ireland and she said, oh, you haven't seen a sunset until you've seen a sunset in Ireland. It's like she said this to somebody who lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I mean, sunrise this morning here, not Ireland, was like breathtakingly beautiful, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, and like I mean, I probably don't have the best examples of this, but you have traveled to a lot of like Hawaii, some of the most exquisite sunsets in the world. And
Right,
Mexico is one of the few places that I can think of that really rivals those beautiful, amazing sunsets. And I'm
right.
sure Ireland has some great sunsets, but I don't think you can say that after being here and seeing seeing the
Well, the
sunset.
fact is, there are so many places on the planet. It's not just Hawaii. It's Polynesia. It is, Southeast Asia. I
Yeah.
mean, you being in Southeast Asia, were there not some like beautiful sights to see in nature?
Yeah, yeah. I have this one video clip of us. We were doing the scooter. We were doing a scooter trip, yeah, and we were right at the very border of China. So like you could literally park your bike and walk over this little fence that's taken down, and you're in China, you know. And so right there, I took this panorama of a video, and we're on top of all these, those really sharp
Those
Asian
weird
peaks.
mountains, just like
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
paintings, they're real, right?
yeah,
Just like
yeah.
in the paintings.
I gotta show you this video clip though, because it's beautiful. It's like a 30-second video clip where I just pan around, and it's a sunset off in the distance, and the clouds, and all these giant mountains, and it's like something out of a painting. It was magnificent for sure.
Indeed, indeed. And
Yeah,
you know that, there's always exceptions to any rule, as we know, right? But the fact is, basically where humankind has not collected, right? Almost every place on planet Earth, with some exceptions, but by and large, it's all stunningly beautiful. Yeah,
yeah,
like stunningly beautiful. And,
yeah,
it is imperative that we acknowledge that beauty to help counterbalance, again, the difficulty of life, which is equally real. Yeah?
yeah.
You know?
And
So,
continue. Yeah, no, I don't want to
well,
derail
this
you.
will bring us back to the theme that we were working on 2 weeks ago about using death as the advisor, right?
Yeah,
Yes? Again, to stop the cursed pettiness that rules men's lives who feel that death will never tap them. The pettiness. The
yeah.
pettiness.
I
Yes?
mean, I definitely can tell when I am sitting there bitching and complaining and like, oh, I don't want to go do this. I don't want to go walk to the store or do laundry, and it's petty bitching. That's all it is. It's just me being
All right.
petty, you know,
And it's a waste of lifespan,
waste
which
of life.
again is like very, very tiny.
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah,
I mean, our lifespan, is the paradox of, again, both once we start getting with the program, right, of being in the now, not as a an act of poetry or aligning with Ram Dass or some damn thing, but actually taking it serious again, right here, right now, with the understanding that both you and I are in the slow process of dying, right? What's wrong right here, right now? What's wrong?
I mean, I can't think of one thing, like really anything. Like
Indeed.
no, there's no physical pain. There's no suffering for
Right,
me. You know,
right. For you.
I'm sitting in my house. I'm warm. I'm comfortable. I'm fed. I have coffee. Everything is good. If you really break it down and think about it.
Yes, well, this is what we need to do because we have been so overwhelmed with the collective complaint of our society. You understand? Right?
Yeah.
And it's probably worldwide, but our society takes it to a new intensity. I mean it. My
Hmm.
God. Yeah? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? So the fact is we've talked about this before, but since you and I are now involved in this project, the reminder that in the Hindu Buddhist model there are things called mind moments, kasana, right? And again, they've worked it out. I there's like a couple of thousand kasanas possibly in each second,
Hi.
right? So let's just go second by second because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
Yes, right? But again, now several seconds have elapsed since you acknowledged that in this here and in this now, there is nothing bad happening. We're not denying that there will be heres and nows, and there have been heres and nows where bad shit goes down. That is a given. right? Yes, but
Right.
right here, right now, once again, what bad is happening?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same as before. Nothing. It's still good.
Nothing.
Still,
So,
Yeah.
so again, and if we take that to its logical balance, its conclusion, right? Is there any good happening right here, right now, for you and I? For
Yeah.
you and I.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're getting to share, a comfortable, nice Wednesday morning together, talking about, cool, fascinating, amazing ideas, and over, like there's a lot. I think there's a lot more good happening than bad for sure.
Well, once you start getting with this, it's not all life have balance, says Mr. Miyagi. It's like, for us, because again, we are in a position of astonishing good fortune. Remember, one of my new references is Pharaoh would spit blood. Ramses, with all the gold, would spit blood to have the quality of life that we have.
Yeah.
Central heating, hot and cold water. Again, his chariot did not have climate control in it.
Couldn't fly across the skies while you watched movies, drinking alcohol, and
Indeed, so again, this is true. This is not positive affirmation, which I disdain. I hate that, right? And what I want to do with you in this, again, as I've said, that, I want to bring up a mirror of, again, the fact that life actually is a living miracle. It's a living miracle. It's impossible. What we are in the middle of is impossible. And the specificity of it is equally impossible.
and
All of
so
this comes out of the
let,
Milky Way.
yeah, let's just break that down because I feel like that might be hard for some people to grasp. Because like, why is this impossible? But like for me, just a general way, an on road into this for me is like just those ideas, those really big ideas that break your head. What comes
Hi,
before the very first thing?
hi,
How can
hi,
something not have an end? How can there be what is outside of the outside? What is beyond the beyond? How does, what is if there's how can something be endless? How can something just continue on forever? Like
yes,
all these ideas that are so big that they short circuit our brain.
hi, yes,
This is the
indeed.
world we're living in. This is where we are. This is
Hi, hi. And
here every
again,
single day.
the world is an extension of the Milky Way galaxy. Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, yes or no? As a fact, not as an
Yeah.
idea. Fact, right?
I mean, like we have talked about, and just to reinforce this for anybody else watching, um, you know, according to science, the Big Bang happened, and all of everything that exists was in that little needle drop of the Big Bang, and so now everything right here was a compact form of space dust at one point, and now it is everything that you see in front of you. So we
So it
all,
was smaller than. I mean, what the astrophysicists say is it was like it exploded and then it imploded and then the big explosion happened. And again, the astrophysicists say that all the atoms that exist now occurred when the Big Bang banged, right?
yeah,
Right. So then we get nebula coming out of that, right? Nebula, right? And then nebula coalesces into galaxies, and then galaxies coalesce into solar systems, right? And then within the solar systems are planets, and then on this planet, right, over like billions of years, right, all these atoms coalesce and become molecules, right? And then we get, I mean, on PBS, I saw a thing that said that the first expression of being after the Big Bang was like laundry lint.
huh, yeah,
And then laundry lint, exploded into nebula, which again is atoms coalescing into molecules, right? Where you get water molecules and all the rest of it,
yeah,
right? And then we come all the way down to the millions of years that it took for oceans, for enough water molecules to coalesce, right? After it being on fire, this planet being on fire for millions of years, right?
yeah,
Right? then water molecules coalesce on this planet to end up becoming oceans and lakes and waterfalls and all that stuff, right? And then out of that, we begin to get, organic life occurring. So again, while we understand, the method of all this happening, how does that happen?
Yeah, yeah. Fuck if I know. It boggles my
I
mind. Yeah.
I don't know. You see,
But
right? And this
that's
is
what
where we'll talk about this more, where again, returning to, the humility to understand that we know nothing.
yeah.
We know nothing. You understand? And the reason why this is important is that at a certain point of that going from an engaging idea into a living fact, right? Then life is re-imbued with wonder, for God's sake, right? And
Yeah.
then we can counterbalance life's a bitch and then you die. God help us. Yes?
What are the two that I've heard before? One is life is mystery. It is ever waking mystery, And then also it is someone, I think it might have been a Zen guy or something, but he said it is a gift. Life is a gift, or it is a present, like,
That's Kung Fu Panda, dude.
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. It is, man. I gotta let Big Boy out. Hold on.
That is funny if it's actually Kung Fu Panda, because I haven't seen that since I was
That's
like
Kung Fu Panda.
13 or 14.
Paradoxically, that doesn't make it any less profound. That is the tortoise who was the wise one, right?
Yeah.
Right? He says, right, the past is history, the future is a mystery, the present is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
Yeah.
Yes?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's great.
I mean, that's exquisite. That is the truth.
Right.
Again, we
Yeah.
have according to astrophysics, the entire universe, right, has been remade in the last time we reference being in the here and now. So we're back to it, dude. In this here and now, what bad for right now, right?
Yeah.
What bad is happening to you or I?
Hi. I mean, yeah, I can't name anything. I mean,
Indeed.
future bads, like maybe like, oh, I have to pay my rent, or oh, I have to, I have to go do
Right.
this later, or do the, future bads. But right here, right now, nothing is bad for me, like
Indeed. And
seriously.
again, same in the past. We can reference the past where, again, and this is what happens to us is that, in referencing, and again, somehow we've been led to believe, and I don't know where this comes from, is if we anticipate the bad,
Mhm.
right? Right? That somehow when the bad happens, it's going to be less impactful. And again, sorry, that's bullshit. That is wrong. Now, the only thing that makes sense in anticipating bad, right, is then you can plan to offset some of the bad. If
Mhm.
I don't pay my rent, I am going to be homeless, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right. But again, to be in a constant state of acknowledging how bad life is, right, does not prepare us for those nows where life is bad. What it does is exhausts us.
Yeah, yeah. So then once you face something truly bad or hard, you have no wherewithal to handle it,
Right. Right. We're
emotionally or
exhausted
physically.
already. And that's why people go, I just can't do one more thing.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
can't do one more thing, right? Well, again, so it is imperative that we cut through this bullshit,
Mhm.
right? Number one, because life is passing.
Yeah.
I talked to you about, my young black friend back when I was young who said to me, all right, Chris, what about the guy at the door with the gun? Right? Now what I would do is I'd take him to the door and open the door. Right?
Because there's nobody there with a gun.
There's nobody
Yeah.
there, dude, right?
Yeah.
And you say, well, there will be. And I would say to that, you think? Except it's not
Mhm.
going to be the guy at the door with a gun. It's going to be the guy at the door with a scythe. Do you know what I'm referencing?
I'm not sure, no. Oh,
Death.
the Reaper. Yeah, the Reaper. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
the Grim
yeah. 50 Cent.
Reaper. And at some point, he's going to be at the door.
Yeah,
That's true. So we
yeah.
don't have time for this bullshit. We don't have time for this bullshit. Yes? In the meantime, we are living a life in eternity. That's really happening from the comfort of our own homes, right? I've told you that beautiful Zen ditty where they say, while you cannot hang a sword in empty space because it will fall down, right? right? The river of stars, which is what in the Orient they call the Milky Way galaxy. The
Yeah.
river of stars floats a refuge. Here we are in the middle of eternity in this place that like allows us life. Yes?
Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, isn't that just a little bit kind of mind blowing? I mean, just a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
seriously. Yeah, no, I mean, it blows my mind just because, it's so easy to get caught up in the bitching and all the crappiness of the world. And then what it does is it creates a filter over our eyes that we get used to all of the amazing things because we know it and we've seen it every day, that we forget that it has anything besides
That it
just being
has
a
any
piece of.
nourishment, dude,
Yeah,
that it
yeah,
has any nourishment. You understand me? Hi? And you're right. We need to so that we can function. We need to habituate to all of this to a certain degree, but not to the degree that we have,
yeah,
right? And again, that we endlessly reference the river of stars, the Milky Way galaxy, even though we cannot conceive its true immensity. It is a reference for eternity because we can see it every night.
yeah,
Yes, right?
yeah,
Now, again, understanding that we are part of the Milky Way galaxy, we come from the Milky Way galaxy, will never help us pay bills.
yeah,
It will help counterbalance because of the majesty of that. Once it becomes a truth, instead of just an idea, it will balance the mundanity of bills, chills, and spills. You understand?
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So then, like,
perhaps all the way unto dying. You understand?
yeah, like you said, so that it's not life is just a bitch and then you die. It is that we are we're in ever waking wonder, and we get to
Right,
experience this
right.
we get one chance to experience this that we know of, and
That we
we might
know
as
of.
well not waste it.
And then we die. See,
Yep.
so we're not, again, this is not positive affirmation. This is not new age,
Yeah.
gut drivel of positive affirmation. Yes,
Yeah.
right? What you and I are going to do is we're going to go into our habituated cynicism. You understand?
Hmm.
Which keeps these majestic truths from being majestic truths. They are at best mildly engaging ideas, interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
No, no, no. They are fucking mind blowing. Yes,
Yeah.
right. But we need to chew on them. You understand?
Definitely.
We need to
And
real.
well, just for me and maybe other people, we have to have the right context for them, because if it, like you said, isn't new age woo woo. Like, if you just have that context, you might
Now,
not
by the
really.
way, a bunch of people will see it as that, but I'm sorry, man. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, please.
But like,
Right?
yeah, but just like to break it down in terms of science, wouldn't you agree that everything around us is an agreement of atoms, right?
Hi,
It's just
hi.
agreement of atoms in different variations,
Well,
but
actually,
in
it's an agreement of molecules. Right?
molecules. Hi, hi,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
And again,
And
the fact is that the same molecules that make you also make the chair that you're sitting on. Now, how does
yeah,
that happen?
exactly. Yep. And
How
so
does that
even taking
happen?
scientifics, you can still work into this way that it still does not make sense. We still have no true understanding of how this can work. If
Right.
why
Well,
can't
no,
I go through this wall
we're
or
going to use the scientific model. We're going to use my references, basically PBS and right, Nat
yeah,
Geo and whatnot, right?
yeah,
But again, this other idea that religion and science are in opposition to each other, the fact is the Big Bang is just as dumbfounding, right, as the idea of God making everything in 7 days,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I almost don't see a difference between the two.
Well, again, I've told you this, that according to the Hindu Buddhist model, where one day, in the life of Shiva, Lord Shiva, Maha Ishvara, right, the great soul is equivalent to like, millions of years for us. Well, then the 7 days makes absolute sense. Thank you
Yeah,
very
right.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
And none of this is to the point. Do you see? This is petty nitpicking. And
Hmm.
again, these unbelievably artificial hierarchies that our kind works with. And the terrible outcome, right, is, habituated lament.
Yeah. Yeah, I think though, kind of what I was saying is that for other people coming into this, I think it'll help a lot giving them that scientific aspect along with the religious, showing that they're not in contention, but they actually work together. And I think that'll help a lot of people. It will help us not insult the intelligence of a lot of people,
Right.
because if we come with actual, solid basis for our ideas, then it's like this isn't just woo woo. This isn't just new age, reaffirmation. This is solid ideas on how you can live a life to just and appreciate it and travel through life with a little bit more, I don't know, awakeness or ease, or.
I know both of those things, and not a little, a great deal. A great deal. I am an old man. My brain is not as good as it used to be. I begin to have chronic aches and pains. I have not slept well in almost 20 years. Blah, 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 blah. I am so grateful for the miracle of being alive. I cannot begin to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful.
And
Yes. Thank you.
and
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
and I think about that, once every day is just how grateful I am. And with you and me, I remember at a young age being like, like what I would say to you is I don't believe in praying, but I like to say that, like, I like to say I'm so grateful for life once a day. And you told me, like, that's not really enough. Like, now what? Now what do you do with that?
Right.
And
Right.
and,
But
and
but also that is what real prayer is. We have also been taught through the religion of the scribes and Pharisees, and we'll go into this more, right? Is that prayer is actually about gimme,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right? And even if it's gimme to somebody else, it's like God is credit card. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Right? True prayer is expressions of thanksgiving, of gratitude. Thank
exactly.
you, thank you, thank you.
And
Yes?
and, and I would say thank you, but you kind of help me rethink that it's not just about saying thank you, but it's also if you appreciate the sweatshirt, take care of it. Don't just say thank you, sweatshirt. Thank you, God, for giving me a sweatshirt. Take care of it and cherish it, and then
Hi.
preserve it, and then that is your act of appreciating, just acknowledging this thing's existence in this world.
Well done. You remember, good for you, Alex. And this again is living prayer.
Exactly. Hi.
This is living prayer. I remember you told me, some years ago that when you got into my little hotshot Miata, right, that it looked like a brand new car
Yeah.
when it was 10 years old,
Yeah.
right? And now it's like 15 years old,
It still looks the same.
Right? And the fact is that unlike some of the religious expressions of disdaining the world, right? No, no. With the understanding that it's limited engagement, I cherish the things that I have. So do you now, right?
Hi, hi. No, I definitely do, and that I think that to me is the most ultimate form of saying thank you to whatever that thing is, or just showing appreciation for it. Because saying I'm so appreciative doesn't really do much, but acting on that and
Hi.
giving back, yeah, taking care of things, that's what really, that actually does something, it has a benefit.
Well, this is Marco saying that in the Bible somewhere it says faith without works is dead. Do you
Yeah.
understand what that means? It's actually a beautiful sentence. It's
I,
beautiful.
I, I I'm interpreting it just as just saying these ideas in your head doesn't really do anything as if you're not acting it every day.
Hi. Well, it may help you. It
Yeah,
may help you. But again, if then you are not compelled in your state of, gratitude and thanksgiving, right, to help, to be of service, finally, what does it matter?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. If you, yeah, what are you gonna do with it? Like I don't know, some like I'm not ragging on my mom. She's actually doing really good right now and being really easy to
Sure.
deal with, and she's a lot different. But a couple months ago, like tarot readings or like these things where it's like I'm special, I have some gift, but it's like what do you do with that?
Hi.
You
Hi.
know, I can give someone a tarot reading and make $10. Like that's not really if you do have this knowledge, this foresight, this whatever it is, use it to do something. Don't just I mean, I feel like a lot of these ideas get just end with just the idea, and it doesn't actually turn into something that can actually be used to benefit the world or to benefit your own life. It's just a oh, I can. I can predict the future, I can read your palms, or whatever woo idea, but it doesn't actually lead to any results. It just stops with the idea.
Well, it doesn't lead to any positive results where other beings, and I'm going to use that term pointedly because I'm not just talking about human beings, right?
Right.
You were aware that I fed those raccoons over the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a great joy to me to see their beautiful little faces late at night. Beautiful. It was just exquisite. And they got fed. They didn't have to rummage through garbage cans or, spend all night long trying to capture crickets or something.
Just a question: did they become dependent on you for food? Did they start coming back every single night and like say,
Yes,
"We need food"?
yes, yeah. They're just
Yeah.
like us. Absolutely right. Yeah, I was the equivalent of going to McD's.
Yeah.
And again, the expression of acknowledging. Remember, it was because they were coming into my house through the cat door, right, and knocking over water and stuff like that in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So then I put the food outside for them, and then they stopped coming into my house,
Yeah.
right? So instead of having to trap them or kill them, right? We worked out a balance. We worked out a balance, right? And the reward and again, with the understanding that then I took on that responsibility every single evening. Well, again, it's such a tiny thing to do that it was my joy to do that. And again, they're now in quasi hibernation. Now that it's warming up a little bit, right? I'm gonna, I've been putting out the dish of food every night. But again, Risu and Big Boy are eating most of it now.
Yeah.
Because the raccoons are in quasi hibernation. But
Yeah, they're not coming around as much.
I know because they do think, right? Just like James Blackwood, the guy who feeds like now, like
Yeah.
24.
Yeah. Yeah, those videos on YouTube of this guy feeding hundreds of or lots and lots of raccoons is great.
Right. It's up to like 24 of them now, man.
Yeah.
Right? But I know the raccoons will be back when the weather breaks,
Right.
and then again, my responsibility is to, consistently have food for them, which again is my joy to do. It's my joy to do that.
Yeah.
It's the same with the mouse under the sink, Alex. The second mouse, right? Who was shitting on my altar. Who was shitting on my altar. Yes,
Yeah.
right? Now there's food under the sink and they don't shit anywhere in my house. And I found out their favorite thing is almonds. They really like almonds.
Yeah, yeah. So you can work with these beings, and you can it doesn't have to be such a battle. If you just work with them, you can really manage manage the situation.
All. Now, again, people who are in middle life, who have kids to take care of, and maybe, lower income people, they don't have that luxury. But I do. I'm an old man who lives alone. So I do have the time and I do have the energy, right, to be of service for other species, not just me. Yeah? And there's lots of people who do this. People who feed birds, and James Blackwood, that old, that sweet old redneck, and he's feeding them terrible food. We've talked about
Hot dogs, yeah.
And Oreos. It's like, dude, how about some nice organic food?
Yeah,
Right?
carrots or something. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's just that, to have that perspective about other creatures, or other beings, it can either, can make the world very small if you don't understand that they are, they're sentient creatures, but it can also make the world very big and very, I don't know, just I don't know what the word is, but just where you deal where you deal with another person, like the interactions are full, I guess is a way to say it. But yeah.
Rich, I've told you my ha-ha for years has been every time I go out onto my deck, it's a block party.
Yeah.
And it is. It is. Last evening there was, all these birds in the cottonwood trees, and again, if I slowed down enough to actually spend a little of my lifespan with these other species, and the outcome for me was delight.
Yeah.
It was delightful. It was delightful. Yes. So again, if there are innumerable nows of, quiet delight or ease, all of which are nourishing, then when I bump into an inevitable now that is also passing, that is compromised, can even be awful, can even be heartbreaking. Like, by now, the death of so many people who I've loved. You know, the fact is, because I milk the life that I got to spend with them, with the understanding that it was passing, right? When their deaths occurred, there was still the acknowledgement of the sweetness of having known them at all in eternity. You dig?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the odds are high that I will die before you do, right? Well, Amos said to me at one point, it was so wonderful. He said to me, well, Chris, at least when you die, I won't have to be sad, right?
Yeah.
Now, for a young man to say that to an old man is one of the greatest compliments that can be stated. Do you understand why?
I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's
Okay,
hear it.
because it meant that I had used my life well.
Hi. Yeah.
And that he knew that I have had amazing, chronic, chronic joy in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no need to be sorry. There's no reason to be sorry
Right,
or
because
sad. Sad.
in the inevitability of all of us dying, right? And again, what we were doing was referencing his mom, who has basically spent her lifespan in dukkha, an anguished sense of lack.
Yeah.
Yes, right? I have not been in dukkha for decades now. My cup runneth over.
Hi.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not bragging. I'm thunderstruck, and I'm actually humbled because once you come upon this, this, Alex, as a fact, not an idea. It's like duh, you know.
Yeah. I mean, just it like my life is very much full, because of the experiences that I have. Just, allowing myself to just, kind of appreciate things more than not. I don't know.
The not. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not
Yeah.
complicated. This is and again, this is where free will actually has a true profundity. Not the free will to vote, which is important, or the
Yeah.
free will to buy a Tesla versus a Lexus, right? We have the free will to decide how we are going to spend innumerable heres and nows. Hi?
Hi.
If we want, we can spend them in a habituated lament. We can do that if we want. Or we can spend them in, again, a hard won, right, but factual sense of living miracle.
Yeah. So the saying that's coming to my head is you either make yourself miserable or happy, but the work is all the same,
The work is all the same.
It
Hi,
takes
hi,
work on both sides,
hi,
and
hi, hi.
happiness isn't something that you just have. You really have to create it. You have to work for it.
Well, you have
But
to
most,
accept it. You have to accept it.
yeah,
And
but you
again,
also have to work
dude, what
for
bad
anger.
for you and me? What bad, right? We're back to another brand new now in eternity. What bad is happening to
Yeah.
us?
And if anybody's watching this, I guess you guys can do it too. But like, let me break it down. Like, right now at this very moment, I can't think of anything bad. I'm fed. I'm warm. I got everything that I really need. Right here at my fingertips. I got my animals. I've got food. Water. Everything is. I'm not. I'm not getting.
Friendship,
Yeah.
friendship. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Right? So again, the fact is that, along with you and I having the leisure, right? Yeah, to do this, which means that, again, we are not running through the Congo, in flight from militias, for God's sake. That is
Yeah.
not,
Exactly.
we are not baby turtles trying to make it to the surf being eaten by seagulls and snakes. You
Yeah.
dig? Right? So again, while this is hard won, at a certain point, once we understand that this is the truth, this is not an engaging idea or even a frivolous idea, right? Then our lives begin to be nourishing instead of threadbare.
Yeah, and most people's lives are pretty threadbare.
Now, most people believe that their lives are threadbare, right? When in fact, right, they are not threadbare. Once again, Pharaoh would spit blood. You and I do not live, we're both South Side, which we know is where middle class to lower class people live in Santa Fe. We are
Yeah,
not living, in the
the
huge
hills.
homes on Bishop's Lodge Road, right? The fact is that your home and my home, right, have, you know, everything we need to be in ongoing deep comfort.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Right? And again, because of flat screen TVs and the internet and all the rest of it, we also have access to two-dimensional high adventure whenever we want.
Yeah,
Yes?
I was just thinking of it like, how we can sit in our homes and watch like a horror movie, but we can it's not horrific for us because we're in the comfort of our homes. If we were
Right.
living that, it would be horrific. But
Right.
that's kind of how it is to be a human in this day and age, is that like we're not, like you said, we're not, I mean, not, granted there are some people that are this is still happening to, but for at least for
Right.
me and you,
Again, the majority of the people, like,
yeah.
over 7 billion of us do not have the quality of life that you and I do. Now, this is not meant to make us guilty.
Yeah.
What it can make us do is get off our asses and help a little bit.
Appreciate it, like we said, and then
I
do something.
appreciate it, yeah, but give back.
Yeah.
You see somebody carrying something, help them with their load.
Yeah.
Yes, seriously, but not as
Exactly.
an idea, as a fact. You
Yeah.
dig? As a fact. We
And
be of service,
I think
right?
it goes straight back to the idea that we were talking about of just acknowledging or appreciating something isn't enough yet, or loving something, like taking, like I appreciate the sweatshirt. It's not enough. You have to actually take care of it. Do something like,
Right?
there has to be action for it to be beneficial in any way.
And if you have four sweatshirts and you see somebody without a sweatshirt, you might consider giving them one of your sweatshirts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I mean, but really, but remember Louis C.K. saying that when the soldier got on the plane to to coach, and he was in first class, he thought, God, I'm going to do a gig. This young man is going to to go into a war situation. I should really give him my seat. He said, I didn't, but I felt really good for the second thinking about it. No, you need to do it. You
Yeah.
need to do it. Um, uh, One of the rich people that I work with, when I said we were talking about gratitude, and I said, okay, so when we acknowledge that we have it so much better than billions of people, what do you do with that? And she went, appreciate it? It's like, no, give back.
Heck, yeah.
Give
Yeah.
back. For God's sake, give
Yeah.
back. Yes?
Yeah. So like I think like for most of us, we can logically think like, okay, if we really care for something, we should appreciate it, but not it's not very common sense for people to take it to the next step, which is to actually action based upon that,
Right.
based
So
upon those
do
emotions.
this. Do it. Do it. Why not? Why not?
Why don't we? I think,
Right.
let me think. That's a good question. I think there's probably so many different reasons, but like this is going to be some of the harsher criticisms. Maybe because one, we're lazy, we don't want to do the work, you know. Like,
Okay.
okay, I love my shirt, but I'm too lazy to hang it up when I get home. Or I'm too lazy to, fold it and put it away every day. I'm just gonna throw it on my bed or
That's still appreciating what you have. We're taking it one step further. We're talking now about giving back,
giving back.
being of
Yeah.
service to others.
I think two things. One is probably laziness. Like I was just saying, it's a little bit more difficult for people to get out of their comfort zone because they're lazy. But two, probably greed, like a little bit of greed that goes with that. Like like I know a lot of people, like I was talking to this guy about Pokemon cards. And right now no one can get Pokemon cards because everyone's buying them out of the stores as soon as they get there and then selling them online for 3 times as much or 2 times as much or whatever. And so I was talking to this guy. I was like, this is a game for children. You know, like none of the children can get these cards because all the adults are going in there and stealing them. And he's like, well, this is about making money for me. It's about me, my family, and I don't care about the children. They don't matter. And I was like, well, that's a very like selfish way to think of this whole situation.
Also,
You know, if
actually,
everyone,
see, actually, it's not just selfish, it's a heartbreaking statement. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Yes? Yeah? Because then there's no possibility of community.
yeah, no, definitely, and yeah. I mean, it's a very surface level way to view it because now it's like, you know, screw everyone else. It's just about me and my family, and you know, and that's the end all be all, you know, and like that creates no, you know, there's no compassion in that. There's no, you know, reciprocity or you know, and if everyone thought like that, the world would be a pretty crappy place, you know. There would,
Well,
it would be pretty,
guess what, dude?
yeah, exactly,
Guess,
exactly,
please,
yeah.
right?